So looking back at how I started on this crazy journey of transitioning from being a career paramedic who was going to do it until I died to someone who was looking to build businesses and establish income streams for the future, I've kind of tried to unpack what got me to where I am now. And it was a very organic process. It's not like you could literally say, okay, I did this thing and then this thing happened and this thing happened. It's a very fluid thing. But if I had to boil it down, there's a couple phases that I went through. And the first phase was a realization. It was a realization that where I was in life, I didn't want to stay there, and I didn't want the future that EMS held for me. But I had to dig deeper and realize why I wanted that. What was my drive for that change? Because if you don't have a reason why you're doing something, you're not going to stick with anything difficult. And if nobody's told you before, going and becoming an entrepreneur and trying to build businesses is a very, very, very difficult thing. It's not unlike medic school. When I was going through paramedic school, there were multiple times, especially the last 2 semesters, where I was like, I don't know, I don't know if I have it in me to keep doing this, but I wanted it bad enough. I kept going. Same thing with entrepreneurship. You're gonna have days where you get beat the fuck up, and you just want to give up. And you will work for years sometimes and not see any fruit. Yet, you have to keep going. And that's what separates the successful people from the unsuccessful ones. It's not that they were lucky. It's not that they did anything special or had even a special idea. I mean, in some cases, yeah, you have the random people. But 9 times out of 10, anyone who is successful, anyone who builds a future for themselves, had to work their fucking ass off to get there. They had to go through years of not knowing if it was going to work. I'm even dealing with that. I'm in that phase right now. I'm not in the phase where, oh, shit's taken off. It's great. It's wonderful. Like, that's usually when you hear from entrepreneurs, is when they're in that point. I'm not in that point right now. Michelle and I are not at that point. We are still down in the trenches, just every day having to chip away at something. Sometimes things, everything always takes longer than you expect. But, nothing goes according to plan. You're always pushing, you're always digging in and driving, especially if you're trying to do something that you don't have any experience doing. One of the ventures that I'm leading, heading up, however you want to word it, is a software company that is building software specifically for EMS. Now, obviously, I have my entire adult career in EMS, so yes, I have some knowledge of the subject matter, but I've never programmed computers. I've never done any app development. It's a huge learning curve on its own, because I'm having to now recruit people. I've had to recruit people. I've had to engage other people who do have those specialties, but don't have my specialty. And so that process of engaging with them and trying to make things work and bring expectations together is really fucking hard, and it takes infinitely longer, no matter how good your idea is, which in our case, our ideas are pretty fucking good. But that aside, there's so much hard work that goes into it. There's nothing lucky about it. So to make it through that hard work, you have to have a very crystal clear realization of, why am I doing this? Why is this so important to me? And that's going to be different for everybody. For me, it was, I wanted to build a life that EMS couldn't give me. I wanted to build a life for my posterity that EMS would not allow me to give them ultimately. And that was my choice. That was my internal compass to say, this is what I'm going to do. And so now it's very much like that first the second half of paramedic school, where you're just like, God, is this really going to be worth it? Like, is there really a light at the end of this tunnel? And there is. Like, I know there is. There's not a bit of me that doubts that. There's days when I'm not as excited about it as I was at the very beginning. You have to fight cynicism a lot in this. But again, when you have a strong why, when you have a full realization of why you're doing something, anything really, you're going to be committed to it. So for all of you first responders who feel stuck, who feel like there's no future other than what you're doing right now. If that's frustrating for you, it can be done. It really, really, really can be done. It's just going to take a lot of hard work and dedication, and you have to actually commit to it.